Today on ANOKHI Daily Spotlight TV, we are joined by dancer and choreographer Paromita, whose show Corpus Matris provides provocative depictions of goddesses and rebel women in love through dance and expression. So Corpus Matris deals with very unique representations of South Asian women, specifically the goddesses, and just a representation of rebel women in love and powerful women. It's somewhat of a modern concept to think that a woman cannot be so traditional or isn't so traditional in certain senses. But you were telling me that that's been around for ages.
It draws upon, as you mentioned, these subversive characters, and these are all taken from South Asian folklore. And these characters have been existing, these subversive characters who go against the traditional representations of women as being restricted to the home and being restricted to certain behaviors. These archetypes have been around since centuries and have been around in South Asian literature, South Asian art forms. And I thought it was important.
I really want to know what inspired the creation of this performance.
I was always interested in the theme of women, and I did want to stage it at the Toronto Fringe. I thought it would be really unique. There's 3 major dance pieces in Corpus Matris, and they're all choreographed by my teacher in India, Guru Durgacharan Ranbir. So I did want to bring his work and classical Indian dance into the Toronto Fringe. Corpus Matris had 3 dances. The first dance dealt with a woman in love who leaves the space of the domestic, who leaves the space of the home to venture out into the woods where her lover is playing the flute. And the second dance deals with these 10 goddesses, these 10 archetypes, the Dasa Mahavidya, who are associated with very different concepts. And these are often really strong image-based concepts. The imagery associated with many of these goddesses, it's often blood and death and violence. Although it's elevated to a metaphorical sense, but these are strong women, and within the imagery there's actually, these women are seen as very, very independent women. There's no male characters present within the folklore. For example, we have one goddess who is the goddess of torture, Bagala Devi. And what she does is she cuts off the tongue of her victims. At a metaphorical level, it's also symbolic of the tongue is the organ that's associated with deceit. This image of a goddess cutting off the tongue is really, in a way, it's a metaphor. The third dance is the moksha. Now, the moksha is the traditional ending for an Odissi dance piece. I think moksha is more about the joy and the momentum and letting go and being liberated.
Lastly, as a South Asian woman performing in such a powerful context on stage, what's the message you hope that women and other South Asian women will take from this?
I think the idea that I wanted to get across was basically that this idea of women being engaged in the unconventional is very much part of culture in a way. It's not a new concept. It's not a concept that's come in with modernity or the 20th century or the 21st century. These archetypes have existed since before 10th century. So that's something I really wanted to bring across in this production, that subversive women, rebel women have always been around and have always been celebrated in different ways, and I think it's not external to culture. It's within South Asian and Asian cultures as well. I think it's always been there.
And if you'd like to watch Paromita's performance, you can catch Corpus Matris at Toronto's Nuit Blanche Festival, happening in September of 2013. Visit scotiabanknuitblanche.ca for more details. And for more of our show, you can catch us at ANOKHImedia.com and our YouTube channel, or you can interact with us on Facebook and Twitter.